Investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky in Tucson again tonight.
Tonight, with the search for Nancy Guthrie now entering its third week and with the country still praying she's found, her daughter Savannah is making a direct appeal to the person who took her mother. 2 weeks of pain evident on Savannah's face.
And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. Of every human being. And it's never too late.
The Today Show host, who has spoken of the nightmare her family's going through, hoping the kidnapper will consider giving her mother back.
Consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home, and we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes, because that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So it detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28, Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy and discovers her missing. And at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Phoebe County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Give me just a second here to fix this. Let me know how I sound in chat. It's been a busy day. All right. How's everybody doing? Sure, that is working. So today's live, if you didn't catch the video, the short video I put out yesterday, it did pretty well on YouTube with a possible second suspect seen in the footage. So I thought we'd explore that a little bit more. If you're kind of new to this channel or this case, I just barely got into covering this case about 2 weeks out, so I've been trying to play catch up. But I love breaking down like surveillance footage. It seems like I have a little bit of a knack for it, and it seems like there is some stuff that people may have missed in the beginning, or I just didn't see mentioned. So we'll kind of go over that, but again, if you didn't see the video, I'll kind of touch on it and everything. We'll go over just the basic timeline. I'm sure a lot of you know more about this case than I do, so please, if I get anything wrong, please feel free to correct me. I am not perfect, but this case obviously has garnered a lot of attention, and I just want to do my part, spread awareness, and if there's any details in that surveillance that I could help with, that's what we're here for with this community. Yes, I love, this channel. We've been focusing on Sebastian Rogers, and that is always going to be my main focus. But just because I found some stuff in the surveillance, I wanted to do a live on that. If we get time, maybe I'll set up a second live, just depending on how long this runs. So with that, I just want to quickly get to chat real quick. Thank you to all my wonderful mods who come in and do such an amazing job. And Jazz, thank you so much for the membership. Good to see you. And thank you so much for the $20 euro. That is so awesome. God bless you. Let's see here. And I did put out some stuff on the Patreon regarding Sebastian Rogers. I think I messed up on the members and actually put out the same 1 hour surveillance footage. I put them out in like 1 hour clips, and I think I might have duplicated one that I already put out. So I am going to try to fix that by tomorrow and get another one out. Joe South Oz, thank you so much. Great info as always, Chris. Thank you so much. Just over a year support means the world. Really helps this channel out. God bless you. All right, let's get into it. So, as I'm sure most of you guys know, Nancy Guthrie went to Anna Guthrie, her daughter's home. They had dinner, played games. She is also the mother of Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show, a co-host who is very famous. Her mother, Nancy Guthrie, who lives in Tucson, Arizona, sadly was abducted on February 1st. There she is. Let me just make sure got that right. And again, we're not going to go too much into the timeline, just the basic stuff. And like I said, we're going to mainly focus on the surveillance. That's kind of what I'm geared towards. And there are some interesting things that I have found that hopefully you guys will be interested in. But again, here is just the rough, raw timeline. January 31st of this year.
There, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family.
Yes.
Just visiting.
Anna, that is a great great observation. That is a very great observation. Because yeah, that does look like there's a little bit of black on the one shoe versus the other one. We'll dive into it and see what you guys think. But yeah.
At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home, and we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m.
Oh, thank you.
At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes. It is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed.
So this is interesting. We have the son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, dropping off Nancy at 9:48 and the garage door closing shortly after. And of course, I'm not the first one to think of this theory, but if it was somebody close to the family involved, it's possible maybe he could have, when dropping her off and going into the garage, there is a door right here. So I think there's 3 doors. Correct me if I'm wrong, unless there's maybe a 4th one I don't know about. We have the front porch. Of course, we have the garage. Then we have the garage door here that leads into the backyard, which is where I think they broke into. And then I believe there's one more over here towards the pool. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's 3 entries, 3 main entrances, and then the garage. But if it was an inside job, it would be clever to leave that door unlocked from the garage, and then all they have to do is then just hop the little gate here, go in, and take her out. Let's see, just reading chat here for a second. Oh,
detects a
right
person
on.
on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of.
So then, after son-in-law leaving, then we have February 1st at 1:47. The doorbell camera disconnects. Now I know it's a Nest Cam. I just call it a Ring Cam because I mean it is technically. I know Amazon is Ring, but you know it's a doorbell Ring camera, but it's a Nest Google version. But I think just the algorithm and a lot of people are just familiar. When you say Ring Cam, I think everybody knows what you mean, knows what I'm saying. So that's if you hear me say Ring Cam, I know it's a Nest Cam technically, but
Loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video, but we're not giving up on that.
so I missed this. Apparently, in the press conference, obviously, this is just the audio from the press conference, but apparently, I missed this. But I guess when he announced that, he is talking about the other camera that they have in the backyard, which is where we see them here, and I've got footage of it. There's camera up here, and when they mention that a camera disconnects at 2:12, I believe it is actually that one, believed to be that one that is in the backyard. So I was a little confused about that as I was trying to catch up with everybody. Is that a problem? 9:58. Yeah, what was
And
the?
therefore, there's no video
Yeah,
available.
2 minutes.
They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do.
That's in. Yeah, I guess you could look at it two ways. Yeah, because he drops, the garage opens. Yeah, 2 minutes. I mean, that is kind of fast. Unless he felt comfortable that she could walk in there and then he quickly closes it. Yeah, 2 minutes is pretty quick. Now, whoever mentioned that, I'm sorry. It's actually an interesting comment. I never thought about that. That is a short time. Because uh, before I moved out on my own for the third time, I went and took care of my grandma until she went into a rest home, and um, yeah, she had a hard time walking too. So that's interesting. That's an
All we
interesting
can,
point.
but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just.
I have an
no
argument
video.
to that, Astro.
But we're not giving up
but
on that.
you know,
228.
anything's possible.
Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone.
So I think that one there, if the pacemaker and the cell phone was traced there, then obviously she would have to be within her phone, those devices. So I would say that would be the argument that she did make it home because, you know, I don't know how much they've talked about her, you know, her actual cell phone activity. But if there was cell phone activity in the home, obviously she would have to be close to that app. And if she wasn't, it would disconnect and that would have been registered as they had it here. So I would say that would be the argument that she did make it home. Again, you know, you never know. been following this case a lot on a lot of podcasts. Nancy's like our mom now. Yeah, it's really disturbing. People would do this. All right. Let's see.
Response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide.
So obviously, after the pacemaker app disconnects from the phone, that means that clearly she has now been taken away with her cellular device, an Apple Watch left inside the home, and I think it's somewhere up to 30 feet from the pacemaker to a cell phone or the watch for it to register a disconnect. I think we talked about this in the last live. It's interesting that it didn't like try to notify someone about the disconnect, which is a little odd. That's something I'd have to look up. Like, is there settings in the app? Did they do something with that app to make it so it didn't call out? I don't know if that's ever been talked about. That'd be kind of something interesting. Did they change the settings to where it wouldn't alert? Because I had a lot of people say, like, if they were to disconnect from the pacemaker from the app, that it would notify a doctor or whatever. And then, of course, sadly, approximately 10 hours later, we have, 10 hours, just about. The family, she misses church. She was supposed to have a kind of a Zoom meeting on church, and she missed that. And the family went to go check, and she was not there.
Side in various units. In fact, every.
Then the only other thing I'm going to mention, then we're going to get into the surveillance, is that, of course, there was a bunch of ransoms. I think one or maybe two of them believed to be from possibly the abductors, mentioning certain details that may have not been public, such as the Apple Watch and the floodlights being tampered with, and they had a deadline of February 5th, and then if they didn't get, I think it was, 6 million and 9 million or something like that, and if they didn't make it on the February the 5th, they had till the 9th. Oh yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, so 4 million, and then went up to 6 million. And they claimed that she was safe but scared. And of course, she is on medication that she needs every day, so that's really concerning.
Thing that we can.
So we move on, and now we'll get into the surveillance here. I know everybody, not everybody, but if you had seen my video yesterday, it got a lot of attention.
Flush down the toilet and the outfit that the gut looks.
I'm just going to try to.
We're alive now out. I'm processing the scene. Now, I spoke with Sheriff Nanos the other day, and he tells me they collected a lot of DNA from. I'm not admitting.
Oh, okay. Let me play this, and then we'll do the surveillance. So obviously, they went there and collected evidence, but it seems like they did not clean up around and left some evidence behind. For whatever reason, it blows my mind. And so Fox News went up and realized that there was still blood evidence that was left behind, sadly showing that Nancy was possibly harmed. They claim this is her blood. There was even a forensic pathologist that kind of went over the blood droplets and how it kind of looked like maybe a head or hand injury. And they're consistent with, say, if you had like a nosebleed, the blood droplets are mostly circled. They're, blood spatter experts. That stuff's really fascinating. And of course, there is a trail leading from the front door to the edge of the sidewalk, which to me, I believe it is likely one or more individuals involved pulled a vehicle right up to that driveway right in front of the sidewalk.
84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped.
All right. Oh, thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. We're going to dive much deeper into that. Let's see.
I'm processing the scene. Now, I spoke with Sheriff Nanos the other day, and he tells me they collected a lot of DNA from inside of Nancy Guthrie's home, but some of it was mixed. So this is a process where they need to separate it before it can fully.
So the mixed DNA was inside the home, allegedly, is what they're claiming, and possibly maybe her blood. Maybe if that was an injury that started inside the home. And I think, in my opinion, the mixed DNA could be from at least one of the intruders, likely saliva, because he had a flashlight, one of those like bite flashlights or keychain flashlights in his mouth. And clearly you're going to have to handle that. No matter, you have to put it in your mouth and eventually take it out of your mouth. I don't think you could swallow that without having some issues. And so I wonder if they did not think about that and, of course, started handling stuff. And, of course, saliva is a great source of DNA.
Be analyzed and identified to a single person. But we know apart from Nancy's DNA, at least one other profile was found inside the scene, and it doesn't belong to anyone close to Nancy. There's also DNA evidence found on a glove about 2 miles from Nancy's home. That sample has been run through CODIS, but it didn't have any matches so far. So the sheriff confirms they'll be exploring genetic genealogy, trying to find family members of the person it belongs to.
And that's such an amazing thing. I'm sure a lot of you true crimers know the genetic genealogy is amazing. That's how they caught the Golden State Killer, D'Angelo, and others. But unfortunately, at least one of the suspects, if there's more, the particular suspect that was or intruder was inside the home, is not in the CODIS.
And a retired Phoenix police commander tells me the timing of that process can vary.
Nothing as simplistic as we want it to be. We wish it was, but from an investigative standpoint, it could be immediate.
I did too, Debbie. I did too.
How far down into that data material they go.
I think you're mentioning the second part, right, Debbie? I thought exactly the same thing, and now after kind of watching a bunch of videos, catching up more, again, if you're just tuning in, this is my second time covering this case. I have a little bit of knack for breaking down surveillance footage. Again, I'm not an expert, don't claim to be, but I just tenacious, and there's something about nighttime surveillance videos that just pique my interest. Oh, there we go. I probably sound a lot better. Let me know if that's too loud, actually. I actually kind of tap the cord there. Where'd it go? There we go. And Jays, thank you so much for the gifted 5 Mob Crew memberships. That is so sweet. God bless you. We got Coop and Crazy Man. If you do get gifted, I'd appreciate it if you could thank the person for gifting them up memberships.
Potential break in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Sources briefed on the investigation telling ABC News that investigators lifted the DNA of an unknown male profile from a glove found along roadside brush about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. The gloves appearing to genetically match the kind worn by the suspect caught on Guthrie's doorbell camera the night she disappeared. The sheriff's department sent the gloves to a private lab in Florida, and the FBI is awaiting the results of quality control tests before putting the male profile into the FBI's national DNA database. Guthrie was last seen the night of January 31st.
Very similar to what was seen in the doorbell video camera, but they don't know.
Okay. All right. So we got almost 400 people in here. I appreciate that, Ella. So we are going to get into that. I'm sure that's what a lot of you guys are here for. I know you're here for Nancy Guthrie, and we're praying for her safe return, of course. And I'm just trying to do my part on this. I know a lot of you here are a big community with Sebastian Rogers, and of course we'll get right back into that. But it's only because I know I'm going to be covering Sebastian Rogers a lot coming this week because of the anniversary. I just don't want to, I'd like to have material to cover. And right now, with what I discovered in this case, I thought it'd be kind of a nice break to kind of
they're going to put the DNA results that they got in.
Do some stuff.
Sharp saying it was there.
And put in my 2 cents on this. All right, so here we go. Video evidence. We're going to break this all down. And there's some very interesting stuff. And we'll try to kind of keep up with chat and everything. We've got Lori. Oh, thank you so much for becoming a member. That is so sweet. I appreciate the love and support. God bless. Okay, so here we go. I got some very interesting stuff to break down for you guys. Yeah. So here we are with the 2 videos here. And this is kind of a before and after. And I'm going to put a full screen. And I'm going to put this full screen for just a second. So I can turn up my heater for a second. And then what I'm going to do is there's multiple videos that were released and they were kind of cut up. And anyway, I got them all in order. And then there was a still shot, which was interesting. And I noticed something that I don't know if has ever been mentioned before. I wouldn't say it's super huge, but it is interesting. I promise you that. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think anybody has caught this. I could be wrong, but I promise you it'll be worth it. So let's put this full screen. This is just showing before and after, seeing if there was any kind of difference, any details. So let me go full screen on that, and then I promise you what we got is going to be very fascinating. I've noticed another side of the tattoo, possibly. We know that there's something here, but there may be something over here as well that I don't know if anybody's mentioned. So we'll bring that out. Of course, the second suspect, possibly hiding in the background. Clearly his attention goes to that. So much. So let me go full screen here. There's no sound or anything, but let me go full screen on this real quick. Okay. I thought it would be interesting to kind of flip it right side, see if there was any kind of noticeable difference. Doesn't look like the rug mat moved at all, but we can see that maybe if they came out, maybe her injury, because the door is here, maybe her injury's on her left side, maybe. Again, that's just speculation. So, and then they said that the blood trail went from the entrance of the home to right to the edge of the driveway. So I think, just in a theory, that one, or if there was more than one, they drove up right into the home. And I think that's why they disconnected this Ring camera, which shows that maybe they knew, did their research, and or is very close to Nancy Guthrie, maybe relationship wise, or extended family members and or friends. Okay, so now breaking down the Nest/Ring Cam. And I want to go over these 3 specific timelines. So we have the doorbell camera that disconnects at 1:47. So one or more intruders, suspects, were there. I don't want to say well before, but they were definitely there before 1:47. And, you know, I was definitely confused about the 212 where they say they detect a person on camera. But then when when Nanos says that, well, it could have been an animal, well, then that just tells you, oh, it's got to be outside, right? And what I was mentioning before is apparently the FBI, one of the FBI guys in that press conference, when he says that, I guess kind of gave him a look like, you know, they didn't really want that info out there, but oops. And I always thought it was weird because I'm like, well, then that's if one camera, you know, if there was just one camera, how does one disconnect and then yet it detects something, you know, I had the time down, but 25 minutes later. But that is coming from a different camera. Deborah says, I think she was carried out over someone's shoulder. It's possible. So there is where the doorbell Nest Cam was located. And I'm going to show you, if you guys missed this on Kelly's show, they did an experiment to show how actually it's really easy to just take these things off. So that camera would have been just hanging up on here. There's kind of obviously a bracket that's screwed in there on a piece of trim there.
Watch this. Watch.
Okay, Megan, I've installed the...
And this is, again, Google's version of a Ring Cam or a doorbell cam, however you want to put it. But that is kind of basically the version that Nancy Guthrie had right here. This is very fascinating. And so he's going to show you how easy it is to really take this off. And I'm going to show you guys, this video played a huge part in figuring out something that I thought there was something weird going on. And I'll get to that in a minute. But this is basically what the intruder was trying to do.
The Nest doorbell camera on
or
our
ended up
door
doing.
to the garage here.
And what's interesting is it comes with a little tab, just a little flat
tab, almost like a tip of a screwdriver, really.
And that's how you remove it from the top. So you just push down and it clicks right off, sort of. There it goes. So it pulls right off that way. And
So it must be kind of like a track that it gets fed into, and maybe you got to kind of pop it with the flathead and then feed it through the track up out. Again, I've never owned one. If anybody owns one and knows more about it and could share, let me know. But it is kind of interesting how easily it is to take off.
That's how you take it off to charge it, because it is battery powered. It needs to be charged every so often. There's no wires here. And you'll see this plate. Exactly
Great point,
like
Astro.
You see on the house at Nancy Guthrie's house and all the news videos.
So it's the same model. And to put it back, you just click it on the base after you've charged the battery, and it's there.
And the question is, how do you get it off without the tab? And I was excited because you said we could smash this if we wanted to, and you'd pay for it. But you don't need to do that. You actually, just with a little bit of force,
Okay.
You can pull it right off.
Notice what he did right there. That will be huge when I show you something. I promise you, because there was something that I'm going to show you here in just a minute. It was bugging the hell out of me. And what he just did right there, the little left to right, trying to doing that,
And
that'll come in a huge play in what this, at least one of the intruders
You
were
can pull it right off. And
attempting
the
to
base
do.
is still there, undamaged.
And actually, this camera is still recording. So if I take this and throw it or put it in my bag, it's still going to be recording for a little bit longer. So I got to think there's still video of that they haven't recovered that might show a different angle of things that we haven't seen.
That is
Evidence
interesting.
that it was damaged on the front porch. So my guess is it was just taken out of Wi-Fi range, and that's why it disconnected. Or they could have turned her Wi-Fi off. But
So when they say 147 it disconnects, that means it may not have been broken, but it was out of the range of the Wi-Fi. You know, maybe she's got Google Fiber or whatever, and I haven't looked up the range on that. I'm sure not far from the house, maybe the driveway to the street at best. I guess it depends on where the router is in the home. But yeah. So that's what they mean when it disconnected, is that he jerked it off. Or, wish I could take that back. Took it off and then of course went out of range of the Wi-Fi.
taking it off the base, like I just did, does not disconnect it in any way. It's still
welcome, Miss
captured.
Nobody.
That's so interesting. So that's Jake Whitman. Great job there. Taking it off the base is easy and does not stop the filming. And anybody who knows.
Okay. Now we're going to get into the order of things that happened. And maybe some of you have seen this, maybe some of you haven't. But there was a still image that was released. Now they released, some video, and they also released a still image as well. And I'll get into how I'm pretty sure I figured out the order of everything, and I think it plays an important role. Sassy, I don't know if I got this earlier, but thank you so much for gifting Mob Crew membership. God bless you, and thank you as always for everything you do. And we got Mary here with the $2 super chat. Thank you, sweetheart, so much for the support. The Blue Third, always supporting this channel. Thank you so much. Let's get Nancy and Sebastian home. Agreed. Thank you so much, the Blue Third, for the support. And Miss Nobody, thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting this channel. You guys are awesome. And again, I will be covering Sebastian. I put some stuff out for the Patreon for free. That's, if it's surveillance, it's free. It's just there on my page. Oh, okay. Before I get into the sequences of everything, but this is a night vision of the home. And so the camera gets disconnected at 1:47, and then at 2:12 this camera detects motion. So yeah, that would be 25 to 12, right? 15 minutes. Yeah, 13 and 12 minutes. So for 25 minutes, that person's doing something and then hops over and gets detected on I believe this camera up here. This is the one that they were talking about that may have caught an animal. And, you know, when I first heard this, and I see people mention in the comments when they mentioned that, I thought, oh, software detects somebody. I thought it was in the house. But no, that would be this camera here. And interestingly enough, of course, they're going to take the camera. This is the door to the garage. And you could say maybe if the son-in-law was involved, he could have unlocked this door, and then another group came, and then they knew that they were going to have to probably take her out through the front door, so they went and extracted that Ring camera, and then came in through the garage. I believe the floodlights were tampered with. I think that's no coincidence. And of course, with the camera there and your light source there, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, thermal engine. Yeah, yeah, thermal. So we have those sequences, and so that means that they would probably, assuming if all this timeline is spot on, then they got in at 2:12 or shortly after, maybe a couple minutes, unless the door was unlocked to the garage, and then 14 minutes. I mean, we've seen what Brian Koberger did in 9 minutes. So, yeah, I think 14 minutes, you know, if this is all correct, to take her out of the home, especially with help, would line up. So now we're going to break this down. With all the surveillance and that still image, if you're not sure what I'm talking about. This one's really interesting. So I went to the FBI Kash Patel, and he released a bunch of, different videos. There's one that's kind of like a combination. I know that there's one on Savannah Guthrie's Instagram, but Kash Patel released, I think, if I recall, there's a 3-second clip, a 20-second clip, or 26-second clip, and then there's one where he's with the brush, and I forget how long. That's not very long. Along with that, there's this still image. And some people wonder, is this a different person? This person clearly does not have his backpack on. He does not have the gun. But there's more. And it bugged the shit out of me. And then I finally figured it out. And I'll see if you guys notice. So remember, this camera is static. It doesn't move. Now, of course, anybody can kind of zoom in on a screenshot or zoom out. I mean, technically, you could alter it with Photoshop or whatever, make it wider or something. But something seemed off. And I'll show you guys here in a minute, see what you guys think. Oh, the slider door. Oh, so the one that's the other one. It's possible, sure. Okay. So I wanted to see, because I know clearly this, is it two different people? They're wearing the same clothing, right? The first thing I thought of, well, let's see if we can see if their heights line up, right? If it's a static camera, I should just be able to overlay them. Unfortunately, this in this video, he's not all the way back. I mean, he's close to the porch step here, but he's the still image shot here. He's a little bit back, so it's hard to like line it up. But here, I will kind of overlay him in. I do believe their height is about the same, but I did notice that people kind of mention, and it's just tough because the image quality of this one compared to this one is not the best, although it's from the same source. The problem is there is now a light source outside of the porch. Notice how dark it is back here. And notice we can see, we can see almost across the street. Keep that in mind. We can also see his shadow. But do you guys notice, again, screenshot video, but there's something off. And it bugged the ever-loading crap out of me. And I'm going to show you guys here in just a second. But yeah, no backpack straps. Definitely no gun. I mean, that's a pretty big gun. I don't think if it is the same person, it's possible it could be a secondary person. I think it's interesting. We can't see the eyes there, but again, maybe it's because the lighting is slightly different. Well, I wouldn't say slightly, but clearly there's now lights outside of the front porch. And so here's an overlay, kind of seeing, all right, are the heights close? Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to kind of blend them in. But I thought it would be a simple job to just be able to overlay because, technically it's just coming from the same camera. I should just be able to overlay them. Yet they wouldn't fit perfectly. And at first I could not figure out why. And then I did. And now it all makes sense. And now it puts the order of events into play. Now keep in mind, the still image, he is a little bit back further. So do keep that in mind. And the guy's bending down, but it's possible it could be two different people. Blend away. They do look like they're pretty close to the same height. I think I do this one more time. Let's see, is this it? Because again, in the video, the guy never stands this far back, or at least in this particular position. Actually, I do think I could have maybe taken the... Oh, that's right. When he's walking back, he has his head down. So, yeah, I couldn't use that one. But to me, it looks like they're about the same height. If it is the same person or different. The shoes, it's really tough. But I do see where people say, because it looks like there's a little bit of black on the top where his are white. But do you guys see where I'm having there was something bugging me where I couldn't overlay the still image, onto the video? You guys notice that? It's very minute, and it bugged the shit out of me. Do you guys look at the tile? Look at the tile. Look at the angle of both of them. Right? This is coming from the same camera, right? Yet, look how this one on the left is curved just ever so slightly a little bit more. They're different. These two lines are literally the same lines. I just moved them over. To show you. The archway is off. Yes, in the archway. Yeah, the archway too. Uh-huh. Yeah, the archway is off as well. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I started thinking about it. And then luckily I found, Kash Patel's, all his posts. Because there's a 3-second one where it shows him walking when he's coming back now with a backpack, if it's the same person. And now I'm pretty sure I know what likely happened. Again, I don't know 100%. But again, yeah, look at how I just cannot get, no matter how I move it or if I zoom in or kind of zoom out, I cannot get them to line up perfectly. The arch, the tiles don't line up. They're close, but they're off a little bit. So if you were here about 15 minutes ago or less, if you guys remember when I was talking about how the guy was jimmying the Ring camera, I guarantee you what likely happened is he walked up, if it's the same person, or even a different one, either one, and did this. And all it takes is just a little bit of jimmy, just to, make it turn just, ever so slightly, a quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch, and that will slightly distort the view from the other one. And I think that's what happened, is he originally walked up. I think he tried to jimmy it off and didn't have the tools. And now if you think about it, when he comes back, which we'll show here in a minute, he has his backpack. But I think that happened, but he couldn't get it off because he didn't have the flathead with him. But yeah, and it certainly could be two different people. I could see both ways for sure. We'll play both scenarios. Like I said, the height looks about the same, and it would make sense to wear the same clothing, right? You go out and buy random stuff from Walmart and have the same clothing. Totally. But notice, this is in order. I think, he went up. And then also the other thing to keep in mind is this. It's dark out here. We can see we can see across the street. Notice the shadow. I know I'm not the first one to point this out, but notice the shadow. So I think, and notice the direction he just came from. He came from the left towards where the driveway and all that. I wonder, after he tried to jimmy this doorbell, Ring cam, Nest cam, he went back. And does that mean, even if it was one or two, the supplies and or vehicle, does that mean that they were likely, I'm not sure my north, east, west on this particular, I want to say it's west, but I'm not 100%. But for whatever reason, the lights on the front turned on. So we can see that there's two lights here. I do wonder, did she turn those on, or are they automatic if you switch off a floodlight? Does make me wonder though if she did kick on those lights. Progressive Girl says, what if it's two different nights? I've heard that. I mean, it's possible. It'd be kind of ballsy to go and tamper with it and then like come back another day, but sure. Like, she really didn't have like a subscription, so every day, I don't know if it's every day, I'm assuming, like the Ring Cam would just, Nest Cam, I'm just going to say Ring Cam. I know it's a Nest Cam, but I feel like a lot of people are, but I believe it just recorded over itself every day, so sure. The video slider, they are Gmail. Let me email it because why would it be on TikTok if such BS? I'm not sure. Yeah, motion lights. Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, obviously there was motion lights in the backyard, but there's clearly a light source now out in the front. But here's the order of events. So just in my opinion, I think he went and tried to jimmy the Ring camera to get it off. It wouldn't come off because he didn't have the tools. And then, just playing kind of Occam's razor, right? Just kind of the simplest solution. Not to say I'm sure there's probably some funky stuff that we'll find out. But then he leaves, and maybe either him and or another person and or a vehicle are over near the driveway. They may even be parked in the driveway on the part of the loop. I need to get my east, west, north so I know what I'm talking about here. Okay, so north. So the west, I would not even be surprised if either they parked like here or even here. Just considering that he went here, just assuming that's the same day. Again, it's possible. This could have been another night. And realized, we're going to need tools. So, yeah. Or they have a vehicle nearby. So then we have him then messing with the camera with the foliage. I don't know what in the hell. That's all about. I mean, obviously just to obscure the camera. And then I thought that was interesting. This is something, if I get some time, I need to watch a little bit more. But and then we're going to get into the second suspect here in just a little bit. But this is drone footage, and I didn't get to see the date. I'm assuming this is within the first couple of days. Well, we have some agents walk up. Now, keep in mind, this is on the where they're at. They're walking on this side here. They're walking down the street here. Just so you know. So the front porch is here, garage here, and so these, I think it's all ladies, mostly ladies, walking, and I think they even kind of show like what they believe happened. You'll see them kind of go, oh, and you'll see her actually, or one of them do this. So they're pointing, and that's kind of towards the obviously the backyard where he hopped the fence. He or they. I point. And then she almost points as if like there was something here, maybe even a vehicle. Again, you can interpret it so many ways to interpret it. But that, when she's doing that, that really kind of tells me that they hopped up or over something. That's what I get from it. Maybe you guys get something different from it. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Be kind of curious what else they had done. But this particular drone video is like 40 minutes. And yeah. Let me know if you think maybe the individual or individuals, abductors, may have just boldly parked here, maybe knowing that there's a camera at the front porch, so they would have came in from this way. Another camera maybe watching the backyard, so they know they're good there. And just getting into that first part of the parking or driveway, you wouldn't set off anything, and you have your whatever tools and stuff to break in and sadly abduct her, and then you just bring the truck around. Yes, Jellybean, I did hear. Yeah. It'd be. I gotta find my pin. I need to write down, because there's a way to figure out where the moon would be, and then we could see if maybe it could cast a shadow depending on where the moon is at. Because yeah, you're right. That was basically nearly a full moon. Let me keep playing this, but that's a interesting. Oh, there it goes. I got it. Let's see here.
Closes. Because that
Yeah, it's hard to tell, Red Baron. With very little information, unfortunately. Where he says, if you remember, Savannah posted a video of her and Annie picking flowers for her mom, using that meant as a clue to tell the perps you saw the video before it was made public. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, thank you, Teresa. That is very sweet of you. Okay, so if anybody missed my video I put out yesterday, this is just the second half. I think it's about 3 minutes long. It kind of gets into what's in the background, and then we're going to dive deeper into that. And then after we go over the second possible suspect in the video, if there is one, then we'll dive into the tattoo, because I believe there may be another tattoo. I'm not 100%, on his right wrist. So I will go full screen for this real quick just so you guys can see it. But if you haven't, I promise you it's worth it. And then we'll dive deeper into that. Lee said she had 2 floodlights, one for sure on the back blue door was broken. Yeah, I'm curious to know how the front 2 lights on at the front, how those turned on. Are those automatic or what? Because clearly they're, yeah, if they're the same day with that still photo and then the videos, you know what I'm going to do is while I pull this full screen, I'm going to look up that Kash Patel dump and see if he mentions anything about the still photo shot, if that's allegedly taken from the same day or not. I never thought about that. Okay, so here this is like 3 minutes. This is getting you into the second suspect theory and possible evidence to support it.
But there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. 228, Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. It discovers her missing, and at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Phoebe County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about...
Since this video has been released, it appears that most details in the video, such as the suspect's clothing, backpack, and more, have been identified or mentioned by detectives and or sleuths. But I haven't seen anybody talk about a particular set of lights seen in the background that only appear near the end of the video. Seen here is the same video. On the right is the original version, and on the left is the same video, but with a negative filter. This will be helpful when showing the different objects and lights in the background. Seen here is a Google Earth view of Nancy Guthrie's home and neighborhood. This is very important as the layout of the home and the direction the ring cam are off a bit. Here is where the garage is located, and here is where the front porch with the ring cam was located. Notice that the sidewalk leading to the driveway and neighborhood are at a slight angle. Now as we swing around to face the same way the ring cam and the porch was facing, you can see it's not centered with the neighborhood across the street. This is an important detail because in the ring cam footage, the lights seen in the background to the upper light are coming from this house here. This will help to get your sense of direction, distance, and the height of things in the background. Another glaring detail that can back up what I am saying is the fact that you can see the diamond, no outlet sign, just below that to the right of those lights, seen here. Now I will show you where I believe there are signs of a second intruder lurking in the background. Notice as the intruder is walking away to grab some shrubbery, we can see that there is a light source which appears towards the top right hand side of the camera. It appears and then disappears a couple of times. We can see it in both versions shown here. We can even see that the intruder turns their head in that direction just before the video cuts out. Notice how the light disappears and reappears as if someone was watching or scouting from a distance. So where exactly is this light source coming from, and is it coming from a home or something else? Shown here is top-down view of the home and the direction the ring cam was facing. After pointing out the different objects and lights in the background, we can get a sense that the approximate field of view for this camera would be something like this, with the lights from this home here. Then below that towards the middle is the yellow caution sign, shown here. That would mean that the light source seen in the background towards the top right hand side are somewhere approximately here. Here is a much closer look at the light source and notice how it behaves. Noticed as it appears as one light source then disappears, then when it reappears, it almost looks like a set of lights. Here's a look at it with two different filters, regular and negative. So the big question is it another person, such as a second suspect seen in the distance, or is it a light source that's coming from this home, shown here? So the big thing to point out is how the homes across the street are at a higher elevation than Guthrie's home, and if you look closely, the two homes are nearly at the same level, except for the pool. Keep in mind that this pool is fenced in. Notice that the light source is not much higher than the street sign, and we can see that the lights from the left home are much higher than the sign. So in theory, this unknown light source is likely coming from this area. The other argument to this theory of a second intruder lurking in the background is that the light source disappears, then reappears. So if it was a static light source, you would think it would be there the entire time, just like the house light seen in the top left. The only other argument to this would be if wind was a factor and had obscured the lights from the neighboring home, but there is no signs of wind when looking at the brush and trees in the background. And according to the weather report, there was very little wind that day. The final argument to this theory of a second intruder, possibly scouting and waiting in the brush, is that the suspect seen in the video clearly looks in that direction just after the light source reappears. This would also be a prime spot to be hiding in the brush across the street, likely with a vehicle nearby, scouting and waiting for the first intruder to break into home. Here's a few close-up photos of the intruder and their approximate height. It also appears this suspect has a tattoo on their right wrist. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think...
Okay. Oh. So I put that video out there yesterday. It did pretty well. And I do think there is, a good argument to say that there could be a person lurking in the background. And I'll give my arguments. And of course, I always try to look at it from all angles, so not to be biased towards one theory or another. But I'll give my arguments to both. But I did figure out pretty much where the light source is coming from. That is something that I learned today that I will show you guys. And then we'll go over that, get your guys' thoughts, and then we'll go over the tattoo, which there are some different ways to kind of, I'm still working on it, it's still early days, but to maybe help, I don't know what's the right word, extract or blow it up in a way that you can kind of see the details of the tattoo. I've seen kind of like a colored shot of it. I'm not sure how they got the colored, but that is interesting. So, but just to finish up on the second intruder and where I believe, where I've pretty much figured out where it's at, and I'll show you guys the details that kind of give away where this is at. So again, we just have a normal zoomed out version, left and right. One is from the FBI version, and then another one that is, I think, a clear image, slightly cleaner. So you'll notice when I do the zoom in, the one where it says nest at the top, I think that's a better quality in my opinion, just a little bit. Sharon says, Chris, I can't believe you're having to study lights in the dark again. I guess I have a knack for that. But, I'm just trying to do my part wherever I can. So, one of the things I kind of notice is, if you notice, it's really dark right here, right next to where the light source kind of pops out a little bit. And I'm going to show you guys what that is. And then I'll also give an argument versus, is it a home light or, home / porch light, or is it, flashlight, or is it eyes, because it is, a set of lights. So could it be eyes? Some people say night vision goggles, anything's possible. So there they are, but notice the black, how it's pretty dark right there as I kind of put a circle around it. Now notice this other one. Do you kind of see it? And I do apologize if you're kind of on your phone. Sagittarius. Oh, is there a question? Sagittarius. Oh, I have not gotten to the pinky ring. I apologize. There's so many facets, and I apologize. If you are new to my channel, I just started on this case a few days ago. I mean, I've followed it, just kind of catching, a show here and there on YouTube, but I've never deep dived into it, nor the actual footage. So, but I do know about the pinky ring. I just haven't had a chance to dive into that particular spot. I do think that's a great, any details that we can, point out on this individual is huge to narrow down the pool of, potential suspects. But as you can see, I have that area circled, but notice I have this circled area, and you'll notice there is kind of a tall, almost 2 tall pillars. I know they're a little hard to see. Sometimes they come in, they'll kind of come in and out depending on the lighting. But you'll notice that they're very, especially this one is pretty predominant. This other one kind of is not, but you can still see it here and there. So here's that thermal imaging again. And what do you guys notice about the cactus or cacti, as they say in plural? Let me know in chat. But we have cacti here. I believe, not 100%. I believe that's one. Obviously all over, but do you guys notice it has a particular color grade to it that stands out to the rest? Yeah. Yep. Dark. Yeah. They're very, very dark. And tall. Yeah, tall. They are tall. But yeah, dark. Yep. So this really helped this drone footage as well as we start to swing around. These are the 2 that I was interested in, and then I'll show you the 2 tall ones to the left, and then I was able to pretty much overlay, it's not perfect because obviously they're not coming from the same exact angle, but you'll see here, I knew that the light source was coming from this particular area, but I wasn't sure if it was this cacti here or this one a little bit above it. And then doing further research, I realized that the camera view would not be able to see this particular set of cacti. So that pretty much just left the other one. So I was able to kind of really then get it even narrowed down to where this light source is at. They're mostly prickly. Yeah, they are. That they are. So here is, and I'm just going to do a street view here, and then I'm going to show you the overlay. But it really came down to, so do you guys notice, remember how I was telling you on the left side there's that real tall one, and then there's kind of another one? That is those there. And then it came down to these two, right? But when we look at the footage here in just a minute, you're going to notice that there's only one black source, meaning, you know, if this was in the frame, we should then be able to see, you know, some really deep black to the left of that, but we don't see that. And then when I kind of looked at, you know, how far could this, the field of view, especially with an archway that sticks out, would it be able to even see this one? And I don't think so, but it would from here capture this one, and it actually lines up with this one. There's like one little cacti right here, and then a bigger one behind it. And so we have now narrowed down pretty much where this light source is coming from. And as you can see, remember what I was talking about, how there's black, yet there's, you know, we can't really see any black, and there's no black in the middle. I mean, there's a little black here, but obviously with both of these, they're very full, and we don't see that over here. So it would make the most sense that it would be this. So there is that one, and we have the two pillars here. And then I'm going to show you a daytime overlay, fade out into the video. And again, keep in mind, it's not from the same exact point of view. So, you know, lining it up is not going to be 100% perfect, but there's the two pillars, and then it's these two here. And drum roll, please. Drum roll. We have an overlay. Right as he bends over. And as you can see, again, it's not going to line up perfectly because it's not the same point of view. Some cameras are wide angles, some are not. But as you can see, it lines up pretty darn well. So now we know, for the most part, where that is at. You got the drums. That's awesome. So there we are. We now kind of know where those lights are. Now the question is it coming from a porch light, or is it another individual? And I'll give my arguments to both. And then there's something else I actually captured that I may need to dive in even deeper. What was I going? Oh, I was just going to show you guys just a top-down view. That's right. And then I'll catch up on chat here in just a second, guys. About 3/4 done here, but so that means that whatever person or light, it is right in this area. Remember that pool is fenced in, you know, unless there's kind of a light on here. I mean, it's certainly possible. Maybe there's a light here that's coming through, but I'll give my arguments to both and see what you guys think. But as we can see, it's not there. as he's walking up. And then it appears as he's going to the ring cam, and then this is right after where he's going to grab the shrubbery. And you'll start to notice that, it kind of appears, disappears, and then it really reappears. And they're very noticeable. We got the negative on the left. And it's so fascinating that he looks right in that direction. I mean, he is, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people agree, he is looking right at that direction. So, playing devil's advocate, could it be a porch light that maybe got switched on? Or is this a partner that is in the background? Now, what I find interesting is, for those that have been with me, especially with Sebastian Rogers' case, especially going over tons of nighttime footage, one of the things I notice is if there's, say, some kind of light source, porch light, street light, you name it, and there's a tree or brush, whatever, and there's a slight little bit of wind or windy, it flickers usually, right? It'll just kind of flicker off and on. But this one's weird because it goes out for quite a bit of time and then comes back in, and that to me, that would kind of defy gravity to whatever, if it was a brush or a tree. And again, part of this is cacti. I'm pretty sure cacti isn't moving. So, yeah, there could be a tree, just playing devil's advocate, but if the wind's blowing, it should just kind of, do something like this where or I guess it'd be like that, backwards. And it's just more flickering, but the way it just starts to kind of come in very prominently, I'd say at best I'm in the middle or lean towards it is possibly someone back there, which would be a great vantage point. Let me know what you think in the chat, but set of eyes, maybe it's the backpack, so many different things. I don't think it'd be a vehicle because that, we've narrowed down where that's at. It'd be the vehicle would be, that wouldn't be a good place for a vehicle. But yeah, if I had more time, I would pull up maybe one of Sebastian's surveillance videos and show you one of the nights where we look out and there's street lights or porch lights or whatever, and there's brush or tree, and they just kind of flicker, but never see where it actually like comes in very prominent and then goes out for a bit too, whereas if like the branch or branches are being pushed and stuck there, kind of really defying gravity, again, I don't know. And then there's one last thing, and then we'll move to the tattoo. But there is something actually that moves. Let's see. Do I have it here? Or are we onto the tattoo? This might be onto the tattoo. But yeah, even in the negative, you can see now that the cacti is white. Same here, white. But yeah, look how just prominent it comes in. It just, and then with him looking, but let's see, I don't know if I cut that out or not. Anyway, one last thing to mention, I think, is a crucial detail, and hopefully FBI has done this, is clearly with the flashlight in his mouth and him handling it, and saliva being a great source of DNA, even if he put it in his mouth once and maybe came in contact with his mouth at all, and especially if he took it out and then put it back in, especially before he handled these shrubs, anything that he went and reached down for, not even just what's in his, ended up in his hand, but anything down in there that he reached for, that saliva would have been on his hands if he did kind of take that keychain or bite-sized flashlight in and out of his mouth. He would be leaving trace DNA all over. Yes, Joni, I sent a little something over to them. And I think I saw somebody else, I think like 3 or 4 other people say they already, like when I made the video, said they sent it. So I don't want to bombard it, so I'm pretty sure they have it. I haven't seen any reply. Yeah, now we'll get to the tattoo. But any questions on the second person? Travis says second person. I think it's, again, I would lean a little more towards possibly a second individual. Maybe it could be an animal. I mean, again, just playing all, looking at all angles. Maybe, I'm sure we've all seen cat's eyes or, very, or any kind of animal eyes, like in the forest or in, a very dark area. They're very prominent. But the fact that they are pretty centered, very close together, certainly gets his attention. Man, I think I might edit it out. Man, there is something that goes over this. Yeah, there it is. Okay. It was there. Watch right here. Or you can watch in this one too. When the 2 dots come in, there's something that actually kind of crosses over them. See it? And yeah, it was right there. But you can see it both in the negative and regular. Again, it's something I saw earlier before I went for today's live, so I may dive into that. It could be some just random pixelation, but I may need to take a closer look. All right, we're going to get to the tattoo, but I would lean towards the second person, but again, we'll look at that. Gone Psycho. I got that. Oh, don't overanalyze yourself, Chris. I thank you, Lori. I play devil's advocate if you're kind of newer to the channel, Lori. I always try to not be, if I get a theory and I've got some good going, like, a possible second suspect, even though I could run with it, and if there's arguments that I could see that could counter that, I want to be fair to my viewers and be honest. I think that's why I have a great following, is because I'm not going to just kind of go narrow-sighted or tunnel vision, as you would say. I try to look at both sides. So, and that's just to be fair, right? Oh, thanks, Ann. Okay. I don't know if to tell, because like I said, I'm 80% sure that it is right here. I mean, so this is, I was kind of wondering what this little building is. It looks like this is kind of like a guest house separate from this home that's a part of this. At first I thought maybe this was like a separated garage, but it's not. There's no actual road that goes into it. If you go to Street View, it looks like it's just like a secondary home, guest home. So yeah, I would think getting up in here, unless you got some kind of motorcycle or ATV, I would think that would be kind of loud. But I would say I'm like 80 to 90% sure that's where the light source is. And that would be, again, if that's a second person, I mean, you're pretty well covered. Maybe this person, really, you have 3 homes that are the closest. And so maybe you had a scout, maybe kind of making sure nobody's up and moving around. And maybe they were kind of waiting for their partner to disable the camera before they started really progressing with their plan. Oh, Emmy. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Yes. We will go over that and see what you think. Different days? Maybe. I mean, it's possible. Whatever they did, though, they tweaked with the camera. That I'm 100% sure, because that Ring camera got tweaked. So it's possible. I zoomed in on his left pocket. You can see something in his left pocket. I haven't really looked at the right pocket, though. But there's definitely a bulge in his left thigh pocket. This one here. Unless we're talking the same one. And maybe when you mean right is when he's kind of facing us, and that's what you mean by right. So we could be yeah. There's wild hogs out there. Ooh, that's kind of scary. Okay, so let's get into the tattoo. And if we get a second, maybe, let's see, what time do we start? 6 p.m. Okay. But I'll show you guys some interesting ways that we could maybe isolate the tattoo. Because I think tattoo is huge. And when he breaches down, I didn't get a chance to, and I don't know, it might be too far, but you do see, I think both wrists, because usually it goes up to his glove, for the most part, the sleeve, but whenever he's moving, that sleeve kind of comes down a little bit. And I noticed that when he's going to pick up the shrubbery, I think one or both hands, the sleeve does kind of go back. So I don't know. We know that there's some kind of tattoo on his right wrist. And I think at one point he's kind of grabbing with his left. And you see some skin. I don't know if it's too far away to see if there's anything on his left wrist. Oh, they scale. Oh, yeah. I know wild hogs can be. I mean, I've never encountered them, but I've heard they could be very, very aggressive. That's scary. Sassy, I think I got this, but just in case I missed it, thank you so, so much for all the gifted Mob Crew memberships. That is so awesome. And of course to Anjaz as well. God bless you for doing that. Okay. So now we go to the tattoo. Let's see. What did I do here? I think I went. Was this just showing the order of things? Yeah, that's that's I think. Okay, here we go. I really don't know the layout, Allie. But that would be interesting to kind of see. I think it's. Is it a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, or 4.5, if I recall? Okay, so this one is something I don't know if anybody's pointed out. I haven't seen it. Not saying it hasn't been pointed out. Keep your hands to yourself. Notice his right hand, and it is somewhere here. Do you see this dark area here? And there it is again. And then we have the sleeve. And notice we can see. I don't think that's a shadow, because a shadow would be more. I don't think it'd be circular. Not to say it couldn't be some kind of shadow. But that would be somewhere along here. We know he has something down here. But let me know if you guys can kind of see that dark spot. And then, oh man, it goes fast, but there is actually something that shows up for just a brief frame. Right there. There is, and you can actually see, let me do this. And then I'm going to wait until I show you guys the bottom, because there's a, I don't know if anybody's done it with the negative, but it actually, because it's dark black ink, obviously it highlights, but you guys see, like, there's almost a design there, and then of course the hands moved a little bit, but it almost looks like there's a design. Again, could be shadow play, but I maybe I dive deeper. This coming week, is gonna 90% is gonna be about Sebastian, but I still we'll try to maybe put out a video or two, or maybe do a live if it's not much going on. But this coming week's really going to be about Sebastian. But I would like to spend a little bit more time on this tattoo thing, because obviously if we can figure out even just a little bit of the tattoo in some way, obviously that'd be huge. Grandma says, I had not seen the tattoo. Yeah, wait till you see the bottom. The bottom is the big one. But yeah, it makes me wonder, is that maybe a birthmark or something there? I mean, it's pretty predominant. Again, maybe it's some kind of funky shadow. But yeah, you can still see it even as he moves. That's why, and it still stays the same. That's why I'm like, I'm not really sure if that's a shadow. And there it is again with the, and if I tune down this negative, I didn't even realize that. I might be able to tune this negative down a little bit and maybe expose more if that is part of the tattoo. Yeah, I just saw it. I just saw it in that frame. Holy hell. Right there, right there, right there, right there. Again, that's, you can actually see it on both of them. Yeah, see that? You can see the kind of design. If I played with the colors, I might be able to get that out. But yeah, you can see it there. I don't know. Sorry guys, I'll get to the bottom. The bottom, wait until I show you guys the negative of it. It's very fascinating. Sorry guys, I'll read chat here in just a second. Okay, there's that one. Yeah, there's kind of a design here. I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be shadows playing with us. Michelle sent something. Okay, I'll try to get a chance to look at it here. Okay, here comes the bottom, and wait till you see. This tattoo on the bottom with the negative filter. This may be the regular filter first. Yeah. So there it is. And what's interesting is because obviously with the black ink, it pops up as obviously the opposite color. Infinity sign. Yeah, maybe. Carlos. I'm not sure who that is just off the top of my head. I apologize. I delved into the few of the main kind of talked about suspects, but again, I haven't really gone down the list or rabbit hole, however you want to call it. But you'll notice, look how it accentuates with the negative. You can see it here. That may be it there. Cross looks like a Rube bracelet. Oh, maybe. Then I was wondering, one more thing here. Let me go back here 1 second. Yeah, see how you could see his left wrist where the sleeve has gone down, and you can see the skin, but I don't know if that's just too far away to, if there was like a tattoo on the left wrist, would we really be able to see anything? But I wanted to see, and I can't tell, there's the sleeve right here. So we can see a little bit of his left wrist right here, which doesn't appear to be anything. Whatever constellation that is. That's the cell phone that people were trying to say right here at the end. Yeah, what is that? That is such a weird kind of hue. Why? None of the flower reacts that way, right? Oh, whoa. Is that the flashlight coming out of his mouth? Wait, what is that? No, it's in his mouth. In his mouth. Okay, something. Where is it? It comes down. It's not even look like it's attached to the shrubbery. And it has gravity. And Jazz says tattoo of a cross. Yeah. cell phone. I never... Whatever that is... Okay, I'm super curious about this. Should we take just a closer look? Whatever that is had weight to it. Gravity took effect of that very, very fast. Other than NASA, I think gravity is kind of undefeated here. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to go full screen. Whatever this is, okay, let me play this part for a second. Okay, so in his grip, in his left grip, oh, he has his shrubbery. It has his shrubbery. It doesn't appear, Knuckles, doesn't appear to be anything beyond this. We got our shrubs, whatever. There's nothing over here. It doesn't look like, wait, let me make sure there's nothing hanging out over. No. Has it? A shrubbery. Most of the shrubbery is down. Wait. Pointed towards me. Right. Like that. I know. I apologize. But then something is going to fall back down on this side. Okay, I'll go full screen on this because I'd have to fully do it. So let me know what you guys think. There is something here that drops. Let's see. Let me make sure at least everything is in screen. I am very curious. Actually, I know what I'm going to do. Hold on. 1 second. So we're going to do this. Okay. No. Not what I wanted. There we go. The colors in that are way too bright. Move that there. This would be a sign of a second person. I mean, I don't know. Okay, his body is completely and that is over here. Wow. Okay, here we go. Full screen for you guys. This is interesting. I was wondering, like, what is people talking about the cell phone? This would be huge. Because why is he blocking it? Sorry, I'm going to play this, but I'm like, why is he's got the mask on, right? And he could just kind of stand above it, get real close, and just body block it, and then just jimmy it, get your tools out. Does he block it, and a second individual comes in to remove it? Let me know your thoughts. Here we go, full screen. That is fascinating. I cannot believe that. That comes out of nowhere. It doesn't come from the first intruder's body. It literally comes off screen. And I'm going to be honest with you, and it may not be a popular. I don't think it's a cell phone. I think it's something shiny. It's just my opinion. I definitely think it's a secondary person now. Hold on. One other thing. One other thing I didn't do. Let's do this. Wow. I completely missed this. And you know what? It is so weird. Okay, here's what's interesting about the way the footage is released and what the FBI and stuff are trying to keep away from the media. Holy shit. This makes so much sense. Okay. All right, 1 second before we get to that. Let me... Okay. Watch when he's picking up the shrubberies. The way this is cut up, right? Okay, think about this, guys. they cut this up, and I thought, well, maybe it's because they had to go and retrieve it, and I could see the data could be kind of corrupted, and so they only get little bits here and there, so it's not a complete video or whatever. So there's certain things, there's certain cuts, but we know this is right after he went and did this, right? He did this. Now, watch what's the next thing. He grabs the shrubbery. Got a little shrubbery. Remember, the last thing that he's going to do before this cuts, guess what he's going to do? And he just did a flashlight signal. Holy shit. It was right there the whole time. He looks over, and guess what happens? Sorry, it's really slow, so I apologize. He looks over. And scene. Yeah, this is the order. Yeah, this is the order. Yep, right there. So that's it. So this right here, this is all the order of the video. We have a 3-second clip that he released. So we have a still shot, which is before, either maybe another day prior or same night, but before he grabbed the backpack. He walks up. He does his blocking. That's a 20-second clip. Then he goes over to the shrub. And just as he starts to walk up the arch, it cuts. That's it. It cuts. And then the last thing that Kash Patel released is this. He cut it, in my opinion, he cut it knowing that they didn't want to let the public know that there was a second intruder trying to, keep as many details close to the vest. He cut it there because the second individual probably, and maybe that's why he's doing the foliage, because it makes no sense. Like, why are you doing the foliage right now? Unless maybe your buddy is coming up and you're there to kind of block it, and maybe he's got the tool. And then we jump over to, the negative. And here's the negative. Let's look at that real quick. That's it. That's my opinion. I don't know for 100%. Let me know what you think in chat. That's an interesting cut. Like, that doesn't make sense why they would need to cut him walking back up to cover it up. And then this. Well, he has a flashlight in his mouth when he's doing this. So keep that in mind, Lana. I'd have to look at this more, but I'm now starting to think they cut that part for a reason.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that
Investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky in.
Yeah, personally, and please share your thoughts in the chat. We don't know 100%, but I think that cut was on purpose. Completely on purpose. That just makes no sense why you're not gonna, because it's gonna cut right here, and then now he's up there, and whatever that object is, I know something like a flashlight. I don't, because the flashlight's in his mouth when he's doing that, so it would have to like get spit out. So I don't think that's his flashlight, in my opinion. But I think that whatever that is a secondary person coming in. He's doing the foliage thing, and the other guy is there to use some kind of device to jimmy it off. It just makes no sense why you would need to cut this part. And again, this is, and then you add in, this is right after he just looked over as if to give a signal, like, here, I'm ready, I've got the foliage, I'm blocking this, come bring in your tool and do it. Wow. I mean, to me, that object clearly comes, in my opinion, yeah, because it just cuts to this. Oh. Oh, wait a minute. If you guys can, hit that like button. We almost got 800 people in here. To me, that's a huge find. Yep. There it comes in. Yeah. Oh, this is before the other. Yeah, this is. And keep in mind, like, I would need to. I would need to test some things. Sorry. Okay, right here, right here, right here. Before that item drops, watch the right again. Watch over here. Something comes in. And again, it's not the foliage, because the foliage has a certain properties to it, right? It's got a little bit of light, but it doesn't reflect, like that object at the end. He's got the flashlight in his mouth, so I don't think it's the flashlight, in my opinion, that we see coming out. I think it's a second individual, and there's something right there. Look, here it comes in, It's got a completely different property than foliage does. Look at that. There it is, almost like a tool. He's trying to cover it. Maybe the guy's trying to get it in there. Missed. Yeah, wow. The only thing I will say, Gone Psycho, about the cell phone is they would be able to track it, even if it was turned off. I don't know why you would bring a cell phone. I think these guys would have been caught much sooner. That's the only thing. Again, like I said, I'm always trying to look at it from all angles. I know it's very shiny. Remember, because it's in nighttime mode, there's many different objects that, any kind of white. I mean, just look at the backpack straps and how they reflect as almost as if they're flashlights, but they're not. So, I'd just say, keep your imagination open to maybe some other things. Could be a flashlight, like a secondary flashlight even, maybe. Wow, well, I can't believe that. That is huge. Sleuth and Sandals. This is why I'm assuming I love the mob crew. Thank you, Sleuth and Sandals. You never know, just the minute details. But you kind of take everything, right? Why would they cut it there? If he's just going to take a few more steps. Unless, as he was stepping back up, the second individual kind of came around and they kind of wanted not to let the public know that there was two individuals. And then you add that in with him just before it cuts. He looks over at somebody. And then an object that's clearly not coming. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know how this object to the right. Oh, it's in my thing now. But yeah. Wow. It's possible. Flashlight. But I think that is the second person. I think it almost confirms that as a second person there. I mean, I think we've all kind of assumed there's two people, at least two people involved, but yeah, I just don't understand why that guy just didn't go like right up to, with his chest and then jimmy it out, unless he knew he wasn't going to have the tool in his hand. And so the partner did. Handheld jammer. Yeah, I not as versed in jammers. Anything's possible. True Crime Queen says he's invited so other perp can come out the front door. If you let it play, he totally blocks the camera with the vines, Chris. Right. Oh, Mally. Oh, interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. I will. Man, I got a lot to do. I've got a lot to do. Wow. but yeah. Thank you to everybody being in here and sharing your thoughts and theories. Real Tea with Christy. Check your email. I sent you some clips of the tattoo. Okay, I will check them out. If I hadn't been running, I usually try to keep it to an hour and a half, 2 hours. 2 Dozen Rosa has been a member for longer than this. Forgot to renew. Oh, no worries. But thank you so much for the amazing support, Sooth and Saddles. Thank you. And just thank you to everybody spending the Sunday afternoon, night, morning, wherever you're at, to hang out with us. If you're familiar with the Sebastian Rogers case, that is kind of my main thing. We're coming up on the 2-year anniversary on that this Thursday. So a good portion of my attention is going to go to that, but I'll probably try to make some at least short videos on the Nancy Guthrie side of things. But we'll definitely keep an eye on this, and I really appreciate your guys' comments. I can't get to everybody's, but I do. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. And thank you so much for being so respectful in the chat. And please be patient if you email me. I get a lot of emails, and it's just me, guys. So just be patient. I do have a new pet outro. I think I got most of the pets that were sent in. This is just for the members only. But yep, there it is. So we'll do the new pet outro. I'll be back live tomorrow with likely the Sebastian Rogers case, unless there's some major break in the Nancy Guthrie case. But or I'll just do two lives tomorrow. We'll see. With that, thank you guys so much, mods. You guys are legends. And then next month we'll be doing some mod appreciation, of course. And with that, we'll see you guys very soon. Here are the new pet outro. And God bless you guys.